Good afternoon, students. Welcome to the evening session of Business Correspondence and Reporting, Paper 2. Today, we are going to have a session on reading comprehension. This is the second part. We have been continuing from day before yesterday. So I welcome you all to the session today. Please join in quickly so that we can get going and we utilize these 2 hours effectively and efficiently. And there is a lot we can learn in today's class. So good afternoon once again to all. Muhammad Ali, good afternoon. Quickly, please join in. And before I start, what is the session today about? I would like to ensure, I hope everything which we discussed in the day before yesterday's session, I hope everything is clear. You practiced things on your own. I hope you have been reading, started reading for those of you who did not read. And you've started referring to your study material. I also told you about a lot of practice questions, a lot of revision test papers on the website of ICAI. So please have a look there. Okay, I have a lot of people joining. Thank you so much for that. Good afternoon, everybody. A very, very good afternoon. Dhyanesh, Ankit, Bhumika. Great to have you back, all of you. It's nice. I hope everything is clear. If there are any doubts, you can start putting them in the comment section. I'll definitely get your doubts. And it was a really wonderful session because all of you attempted all the questions given to you. All of you understood whatever was being discussed in class. However, if there is anything in the test paper, in the mock paper, which is a doubt or something which you could not understand in the study material, you can please put that in the comment section. As and when I have time in the session today, I can take it up. If not today, then maybe we have another session day after tomorrow, which is Saturday. So then that will be the last session of reading comprehension. Okay. And it's a very important section. So I request all of you, please pay attention. Please give maximum time to reading because the question which is going to come based on this chapter is going to be a heavy marker. It's like 5 marks, 6 marks. The weightage is going to be very much. So, and I'm repeating the fact it's not just for the sake of clearing the exam, but even later when I see you coming in office, when I see you coming in the industry, when I see you as a CA, I really wish you have enhanced your reading skills and you are a very fast and a very efficient reader. Okay. Good afternoon, Sangeeta, Mayur, Sumit. Good afternoon, Archana, Licha. Good afternoon, Priyanka. So it's nice to have the same students. You know, it's like the old class. I feel I'm taking a physical class when I see the same names. So those of you who were not there last time, I welcome you once again. Good afternoon, Jyoti. Okay. Good afternoon, Chandan. Fine. So let's get going. We'll start the session. So I'll share my slides for today. Just let me know if all is good. You can see everything. Okay, so this is the first slide which I have for today. It's a little technical because we're going to discuss about Bloom's taxonomy, which is a concept in teaching, which is a concept which relates to all the verbs which you can see in the pyramid. So there is a left side colorful pyramid which has different verbs, you know, create, evaluate, analyze, apply, understand, and remember. So I would like you all to tell me, I hope all of you understand the meaning of these 6 verbs given on the left side in the colorful triangle. The meanings have been given alongside. So when I discuss Bloom's taxonomy, this is basically a method or it's a methodology when we are learning something new, when we are trying to bring out ideas, when we are trying to read something and analyze, understand what is there behind the lines, and also apply that knowledge in the other associated areas of our work. Sometimes we have to evaluate, sometimes we have to give it an assessment, sometimes we have to reason out something. So for that reasons, we need to know Bloom's taxonomy. Now, some people ask me, you know, why does this concept come in so handy as a student? This is probably more relevant for a teacher or for somebody who's, you know, mentoring you on reading comprehension. Well, the basic fact is, if you study Bloom's taxonomy, you really understand the concept behind the questions of reading comprehension. So why do I need to read? How can I analyze? How can I apply this information? What all do I need to understand from the passage? All these things are part of this Bloom's taxonomy. Though I won't say you have to get into the details, it's just a basic understanding. So later down the line, if somebody asks you, okay, can you list down 6 verbs or 6 actions which are part of this concept, you should be able to give me these 6 words. Okay, so don't think it's not going to be important. It's definitely part of your curriculum. It's definitely part of your syllabus. So you can get a question on this. Okay, so please take it seriously. The question can be simple as list down the 6 applications of Bloom's taxonomy. Then you can give me those 6 verbs given on the left. It can be how does Bloom's taxonomy help in the methodology of understanding and learning? Again, you need to mention these left words. So there are different ways in which the question will be framed, but the answer remains the same. That depends on how much you have understood. Okay. So just on the face of it, please go through these 6 words I'm repeating and tell me if everything is clear. Good afternoon, Mansi, Vidhi, Manoj, Ranjit, Neha. Good afternoon, Ankit, Ayushi. Good afternoon, Surya Kumar. Okay. Is it clear? I hope you are able to read those words in the left side and you are able to understand what do these words mean. These are the basic 6 language words which you need to do or need to, really be able to explain when it comes to a question on that. You might just have to write a line or so for each of the word, but yes, you should know the words. That's very important. Okay. Now I'll come to the next slide, which is the basic aspects which you actually need to understand. So what is taxonomy? It's a difficult word. Many people, ask me that it's a word which relates to a branch of science. Yes, that's true. But the reason behind understanding Bloom's taxonomy is it talks about naming things. It talks about definitions. It talks about categorizations. So when I say what genre is this passage dealing with? So you should be able to tell me it talks about economy, it talks about finance, it talks about environment, it talks about geography, it talks about history, it talks about facts. That's the classification. Then it comes to define. So one of the word in the passage, you might get a question. What do you mean by the word quote unquote? Or what is the best definition of the word quote unquote? There'll be a word from the passage. So this understanding helps you give or realize the correct definition. And last of all, naming. Naming is not very specific to reading comprehensions, but naming is very specific to all the readings which we do. So when there are questions based on give the passage a suitable title, why do you think the passage has been named so and so, then there'll be 4 options, 5 options. In that case, this kind of a study helps, taxonomical studies. That's the first point. Second, it comes because of the name of the American psychologist who actually designed this. The name is Benjamin Bloom. So these are the facts about the whole triangular pyramidal structure of Bloom's taxonomy. Then there are 6 essential educational objectives. So remember in the first slide which we did, create, evaluate, etc. These are called the educational objectives. So one way of framing the question will be, what are the 6 important educational objectives listed down in Bloom's taxonomy? So you have to mention those 6. Fourth point, the taxonomical structure was later changed into new categories. Again, the names were revised. And finally, it was said that why were these changes made? Because it was a move from being educational to more teaching, learning, assessment style. So educational objectives make it a little more theoretical, as if it's like everybody needs education, so these are the 6 things everybody should know. But later a lot of dynamism was involved in this taxonomy. So the concept was more about teaching, more about learning from the student, and last but not the least, whatever you have learned, it should be assessed. So unless I'm being tested on what I have learned, I don't know whether I'm learning it properly or not. And that's the reason why you have exams and why you have tests and why you have evaluations. Okay. Is it clear till here? So this is just the basic about Bloom's taxonomy, the kind of questions which you can expect in your paper. Okay. Yeah, Dhyanesh, I think I just now told you why learn about Bloom's taxonomy, because this is an aspect which takes care of the teaching, learning, and assessment methodology. So when you are asked to analyze a paragraph or a passage or a report writing or a survey or a document, you should be able to do it on the basis of either of these 6 educational objectives. That's the reason why we teach you. So this is not a subject specific to a CA student or an MBA student or a medical student. This is a subject specific to all students, because at some point of the time, you will be asked to analyze the content in front of you, no matter which field you belong to. So this is just the basic, it's just like an introduction to Bloom's taxonomy. That's why we share this with all the students. Okay? Okay. Omisha, Ankit, Shubham, a very good afternoon. So great. So, Dhyanesh, how to improve reading skills? We'll come to that. Okay. How to help taxonomy? Why do you have to help taxonomy, Ankit? I didn't get your point. So please listen carefully. I have told you 2 things till now. What are the kind of questions which you can expect based on this topic of Bloom's taxonomy? And second, what I told you is, why is this concept introduced in your curriculum? Those are the 2 main aspects which you should understand. Why is the concept introduced? You will not be questioned on that. That is for your own comprehension. But the kind of questions which you might get, you should be aware, because you have to attempt a paper of business correspondence and reporting. And this can be a 3-mark or a 5-mark question. Okay. So please remember, these are things which might not directly relate to your curriculum, but these are associated subject knowledge. This is associated subject knowledge. Okay. Okay, no worries, Harshika. So I hope it's clear till now. You don't have to take it like go into the in-depth of taxonomy and start reading it. Well, there's no harm in doing it. But if you think a brief knowledge or a brush-up knowledge is enough, it's perfect. Fine. Can I move ahead now? Okay. Now, these are the things which we discussed in the first slide. I have just tried to make them a little easier in terms of what does each verb stand for. So when I say remember, once you read a passage, you might be asked to answer questions based on the passage, right? Now, every time there is a question and you go back to the passage, that's not the right way of doing it. Right now, it's a passage. 5 years down the line, when you are a CA, it might be a 200-page report. So for every understanding, you can't be turning pages, turning like 200 pages, flipping through pages and finding out, okay, where was this point written? Where was that point written? That's not feasible. So that's why we require students and people who are attempting such courses to recognize and recall. So your recalling or your retention power should be so strong that you don't have to revisit the content again and again to answer a specific question. Second is understand. So when I give you a passage, you should be able to summarize it. One, which is very, very important. You should be able to give me the shortest version possible of the passage given. Second, you should be able to understand it much beyond what the author is trying to say, which is called interpretation. So what have you made of it? How can you judge the author? What is your opinion? So you are trying to give your own side of the story by reading the passage, which is interpretation. Then very important is comparison. So when I have 2 passages on a similar topic, let's say we have 2 passages on FDIs. Okay, so what is foreign direct investment? There are 2 people. Some of them have, one of them has given a very direct information, just like describing FDIs. The other has given a critical analysis of FDI. So when I ask you to compare the 2 passages, you should be in a position to actually make a tabular representation and tell me, okay, X author is giving descriptions, B author is doing the analysis, X author is only naming countries, B author is doing so. That kind of an analytical mind happens when you are very good at reading and you read often. So that's the second purpose, what is being tested under Bloom's taxonomy. Third is you apply that information somewhere around you. So if I've read something on the economics, if I've read something on Marxism, if I've read something on capitalism, am I able to connect those words, those concepts, those philosophies elsewhere in my workplace? That's execution. Fourth is analyze. So when I'm analyzing a passage, I need to go much beyond what is written and kind of think, okay, so last time I read a book on this topic, which wasn't very elaborate. So I read something by the famous economist Amartya Sen, and now I'm going to read a similar article in the Economic Times. What is the difference between the two articles? How have they placed the content? Which one is better than the other? Is it attributing importance to the government, or is it attributing importance to the public? Is it talking about, let's say, is it talking about the ideologies of Lenin? That is kind of an analysis. So when I'm able to dive deeper into the understanding of a passage, I'm actually analyzing it. Then comes the word evaluate. Evaluate is I'm giving it a value. So when I'm giving it a value, I'm kind of assessing it. Like, your evaluation happens at the end of the session in a college or in a school, which means you're being given a grade or marks. That's evaluation. And last of all comes create. By using that content, am I able to bring out some better plans? Am I able to generate ideas? Am I able to produce something which is relevant in my work? Am I able to create a whole business setup? Whatever comes out from your side is called the creation. So these are the 6 things which you should apply when you actually attempt a question of reading comprehension. I'm repeating, it's not just reading comprehension, but it's much more than that later in life when you are at workplace and you're doing reports, you're doing Excel sheets, you're doing a lot of surveys, you have to read so many documents, read so many books on taxation. That's where this understanding comes easy or comes handy. Okay? Great. Anything now you want to ask about Bloom's taxonomy, because it's a very superficial topic. We are not getting deep into it, but I'm trying my best to make you understand the reason why this has been introduced and how these 6 different educational objectives can be used in your curriculum. Yeah, anything you want to ask, please put it in the chat box, or else I'm going to move on to the next slide, which is the same, just a pictorial representation of the taxonomical structure. Is it okay? All well till now? I am not getting the comments. Please check I'll just wait for a minute. If there is anything which is a doubt, you can start putting them in the comment box, or else, of course, I'll move forward. Okay, so moving on to the main category, which is types of questions. Now, you must have seen a lot of reading comprehensions. You must have seen a lot of yawners coming. But the main part is how exactly the questions are asked. So these are the 6 main kinds of questions asked. Okay. Thank you, Licha. Thank you, Ankit, Priyanka, Jyoti, Bhumika. Thank you so much, Chandan. Glad that you have understood. So please remember, don't take theoretical things very seriously. It's an understanding aspect. Okay, that's a topic which we do just for your understanding. So you might get 1 question out of it, where you have to list down those objectives. The framing of the question can be quite different. You might be asked in different ways, the wordings, but still the crux of the answer should remain the same. Okay, fine. Now I'm going on to the types of questions. So I hope all of you are with me on this slide. You've understood the first part of it. Now we're going to do this part. So these are the 6 main questions which can be framed when it comes to a reading comprehension. Yes, of course. The PPT will definitely be there on the YouTube channel. It will be uploaded. You can anytime watch it again. You can go through the slides again. You can read the passages again in case you're unable to read them right now because of other concerns. You can definitely go through it later. You can watch the whole video. You can watch the whole lecture also again. That's not a problem. Okay, so I hope you are familiar with these questions. There isn't much to tell you from these questions, but why we judge you on this is because, you know, when we expect a student, when we expect an employee for that matter, who's joining a firm, I want him or her to be smart enough to understand what is being given as a project, what is the whole agenda behind doing this survey, what is the reason we are actually getting into a conference, what are the client requirements. All those things, when it is written in a paper or written in a bundle of papers, you should be able to arrive at a conclusion. And to arrive at a conclusion, you should be able to answer certain questions. And right now, the basic level is by taking care of these 6 ways, we ensure that you have achieved a certain skill set. So this is just a way of checking and assessing your understanding of any given content. Okay, so these are the 6 categories. I'll move on to the next slide. Now, we'll go one by one for each of these, how to identify the main theme. Now, many people get confused, you know, like last time we were doing a passage on coconuts, we were doing a passage on globalization and liberalization. We were doing a passage on, if I'm not wrong, it was about power foods. I hope you all remember. I'll tell you, Ankit, I'll tell you inference. I'll come to that. There is a slide dedicated to all of that. So please just give me a minute. I'll discuss that. Now, identify the main theme means every passage in your question will deal with one topic or one subject. Okay, so when you have to identify, that theme will kind of be recurrent throughout all the paragraphs. So that theme will be repeated, or some way or the other, there will be undertones of that particular theme. That is the subject or that is the topic of the passage. Sometimes it happens that a passage might be discussing about 2 things, but then even then, there is something primary, there is something secondary that you have to be able to identify, because there might be a question on identify the topic and they'll give you 4 to 5 options. Within the options, 2 options will be very close. So that's where the trouble actually starts. Okay. Second thing is you should be able to summarize the passage. Now, this is very easy because summary is basically rewording the passage, but putting it in a short form. So for that, you have to look at the first line, you have to look at the last line, and you also have to look at a lot of ideas being repeated. So there will be one idea which is again and again brought forth throughout all the lines in the passage. That is the main theme. Okay, it's very important because sometimes what happens is we think, okay, there is some kind of a tone in the first paragraph. The author is being very, very provocative, and by the end, he's kind of being neutral. By the end, he's being very vindictive. Maybe he's praising something. So the tone becomes adulation. So the thoughts, the ideas, the tones, the styles, these are 4 things which we have to deal with later. But the problem is you should be able to identify as a student what is that one thing which the author wants to tell, because most of the passages which you will be getting in the questions will be dealing with one theme, and you can definitely expect a question on identify the main theme, because that's where the understanding is actually tested. Okay, fine. Okay, thanks Priyanka for that recall of the passages we did last time. Misadministration of drugs, globalization, capital formation, power foods. Okay. And there was something on coconuts as well. Okay, clear till here? So I'm taking you through all those question types one by one so that you understand what is the reason why these questions are asked, and you don't feel that, you know, it's just done for the sake of it. Okay, now the next is an example where I want you to identify the main theme. It's a short passage of about 4 lines. please all of you read it and quickly tell me what is the main theme / topic / subject of the passage. Quickly, all of you. Bhumika, Ankit, Priyanka, Chandan, Harshika, Jyoti, Kushagra, Sangeeta, Shubham. I hope you all are reading the passage. Omisha, Dhyanesh, Mansi, Manoj, Vidhi, please do it quickly. Please also realize that there is a time limit for everything in exams. You can't just take your own sweet time, and this is a very small passage. So you need to be very sure that you're not spending much time in reading this. Got it? Have you ever heard of this incident? It's a very famous incident. It's used to cite the whole case of the civil rights movement. If you remember your school history, maybe you must have done it there. Ankit, I'll explain inference, okay? Don't worry, I'll come to that. I won't miss it. So your theme or the subject which you want to tell me has to be very small. Don't start giving me like 3 lines, 4 lines. The passage itself is 4 lines. So the answer should be hardly a phrase, hardly 5 words. What is the main theme, or what is the main subject, or what is the main topic in discussion when this passage is given to you? Okay, the civil rights movement, fine, Priyanka. Human rights, okay. The reason, like Kushagra says, the starting point for civil rights, okay. Discrimination of the blacks and the whites, Jyoti says. Shriday, what is no? I'm sorry. The segregation between whites and blacks, Americans and Africans, okay, Dhyanesh, yes, Martin Luther Jr. This exactly is not Martin Luther King, but yeah. Main theme is racial discrimination, very good. Alafia says racism, very good. Abhi says civil rights movement, fine, good. So good, racial discrimination is a very good answer. So when I say theme, of course, it's going to be a multiple choice question, so you don't have to worry. But still, why I'm not giving you multiple choice here? Because I want you to tell me. So your understanding gets even better when you have to answer directly without seeing the options. So yes, it is racial discrimination between whites and so-called blacks. We don't use the word black because that's kind of a derogatory word. We should not be using blacks. Very good, Kshitij. Black Lives Matter. That's a very a recent campaign which is running across in the West, because I think there was this policeman incident. American white policeman, he crushed to death, almost to death, one of the black people. So again, I'm repeating, we're not using the word black, we'll rather use dark-skinned. So very good. The theme here is racial discrimination. The topic in discussion is the incident which gave rise to the civil rights movement, and this particular passage deals with an incident in America because it's about an African American woman. Okay, clear? Okay. Segregation that divided. Segregation, Sangeeta, segregation and divided is the same thing. So you don't have to use both words. Rosa Parks, the pinky is not the subject. Rosa Parks is the person who started here. So the subject is not like the subject predicate of grammar. When it's a subject predicate, then the doer is the subject. The action on what is happening is the predicate. In this case, the theme or the subject is what is the topic of discussion. That is the theme. So we are not talking about the lady here. The lady is definitely an ignition point because she's the one who gave rise to the movement. She's the one who initiated the movement. But basically the subject is racial discrimination, the difference in the discrimination between blacks and whites, or maybe the start of the civil rights movement, the incident which actually ignited the civil rights movement. Okay. Very good, all of you. Thank you so much for your answers. Chandan, Sangeeta, Ankit, Vidhi, everybody. All have done well. Surya Kumar, I wouldn't say equality because this is about a fight for equality rather than equality. So, change your wordings accordingly. Chandan, very good. Discrimination against blacks. Okay, fine. Now, this is another very small passage, a little different, a little offbeat passage. Please read the passage and tell me what is this talked about. Yeah. I'm just trying to make you, and I'm giving you some very deep passages like the one on Rosa Parks, and this is a little funny passage. Can you identify what is being talked about here in this passage? This is not even a passage, this is actually just 3 lines of a paragraph, but still. So my intent is to make you aware of all the possibilities that wherever in life you read some content, you should be able to say, oh yes, I know this very well. I can understand, I can comprehend, I can analyze. So for that reasons, I'm giving you like a variety here. Tell me quickly, if you read these 3 lines, what is the theme in discussion, or what is the creature in discussion? Civil rights movement, Mayur is correct. Quickly, this is only 3 lines. You cannot take so much time. Please understand, time is very, very important. Even when you write your exams for the business correspondence paper, please remember maximum time should be spent on the reading comprehension because you have to read a lot. Grammar, vocabulary, and other things you can spend less. Yes, of course, you have to spend a lot of time on the writing part, pressy writing, the mail writing, the minutes of the meeting writing. That's going to take a lot of time. It's talking about a strange creature, Hriday, but what is the strange creature? Omvati, what is that? Animal, Bhumika. Should we call that an animal? It's not a bird, Mayur. Wrong answer. Chandan, very good, correct answer. Balasajan Lakshmi, good answer. What is the strange creature? Kushagra, strange appearing beasts. But what are those beasts? Tell me. No, Abhi, wrong answer. Correct, Pragati, very good. Restrictions for boy? Really? Ankit, where is the boy in picture here? Priyanka, no, wrong answer. Alafia, swarms. What is swans? A strange creature is described, fine, but what is the strange creature? That's the whole game. Okay, so those of you who've written scorpion, that's the exact answer. It is about a scorpion. Scorpions are venomous. Venom means poison. It's a description of a scorpion. So this is taken from a story where the title of the story is Raising Scorpions. A boy is completely fascinated by scorpions, and this is the way he describes them. It's just as simple as that. So you see now you realize why I ask you to read. If I'm asking you what is this passage about, lobster, no. Oh my god, crocodile, Sarthak. Guys, I really feel you should have started reading more. I mean, if you find this like dinosaurs and ostriches and crocodiles and seahorses, not a good understanding, then please. Okay, so this is, do any of these animals have flattened oval bodies? Like seahorse come into picture. That's quite funny actually. It's not a seahorse now. Don't start saying unicorns also, please. Okay, so don't worry. This is just like a game kind of a thing where I want you to guess what the passage is about, and some of you have been able to do that. So good job done for that. Those of you who weren't able to guess, I'm telling you it's a scorpion. Look at the descriptions. Look at those underlined words. Crooked legs, enormous crab-like claws, Clause maybe gave you a reason why you think it's a bird, but it's not a bird at all. The pink, so like a string of brown ending in a sting like a rose. The tail is like a string of brown beads ending in a sting like a rose thorn. So it's as sharp as a thorn. This is a simile, like a rose thorn. Whenever there is a comparison and you use the word like and I, it's a simile. And the tail is like round circles as if brown beads are placed in it. Okay. Now quickly, all of you open the net and look at the image of a scorpion. You'll get everything clear. Okay. Fine. Next question in discussion is how to choose a title. Now, this is something which I always find very interesting. This is one of my favorite questions. So if I'm making a question paper, I would definitely want everybody to attempt this question because this gives me an idea about creativity. How different can you think from the author? What are the other ways of giving the passage a title? This is definitely going to be a question which actually involves a lot of innovation in your mind. So let's discuss this. Now, when you have to choose a title, first of all, it should be very catchy, like the slide says. Catchy means it should catch your attention in a minute. So the moment I see a title, what are dreams? Question mark. I'll say, it should be some philosophy. It should be some theory, some psycho theories. I'm not going to read what are dreams. But if I say, okay, lesser known facts about dreams, maybe yes, I want to read it. Or the dreamy world, let's take you in there, then I'm going to read it. So it depends on the words you use in your title, how catchy they can be. Second thing, a title should always tell me what is there in the passage. So if the passage is about scorpions, I should have that word somewhere in the scorpions, in the title. If the passage is about the environmental pollution, I should use some words which tell me that it's going to be about pollution. So a title should basically capture the actual essence and crux of the whole passage. It should not be alienated from the passage. Okay. So if there is a certain theme in discussion, then the title should also capture that theme. Third, again, it's just a continuation of the second point, the main idea. Now, for example, in the Rosa Parks passage, I cannot give a title like who is Rosa Parks, because that's not the main idea. The main idea is either the civil rights movement which started in US or it is racial discrimination. So my title should be talking about either of these two, not the lady. If I want to talk about the lady, then my passage should be describing who is Rosa Parks. How important is Rosa Parks? Why do we remember Rosa Parks? What big did Rosa Parks did? Okay. Then maybe the passage talks about Rosa Parks per se, but not about the discrimination. Next thing, it's about being short. Now, some students I've seen when you answer in your paper, you give me like a 10-word long title. Then that's as good as a sentence. Your title should have not more than 4 to 5 words. It should be like a phrase. Okay? The scorpions, the beastly scorpions, the venomous scorpions, scorpions and their stings. Why exactly are scorpions venomous? Question mark. So it can end with a question mark. It can end with an exclamation. It can end with a full stop. You don't even need to give a punctuation many times, but it should not be more than 5 to 6 words. That's it. And last of all, it should be very importantly self-explanatory, which means the title of the passage should not be misleading. You know, sometimes when you read a newspaper, the titles are pretty misleading because they force you to read. They'll tell you XYZ, is XYZ dead? And then you're reading, oh my God, when did this happen? But the story is something completely different. So misleading titles, misleading the audience, giving wrong information, attracting them by giving false titles, that's not a good way to do it. And of course, you want them to read. So want them to read in a good way. Okay. I remember there was this incident where, you know, when somebody gets arrested for a bad reason, you put it in bold. Okay. So you simply say XYZ arrested. That 2 words enough to make you read. But when somebody has not got arrested and you still want to create controversy, your title will change. So titles and headings, news headings, they actually create controversy, and that should not be your agenda. Your agenda should be completely honest, completely true to the passage, completely true to what the author's idea is. And like Jaspreet is saying, it should also reflect the tone of the main idea. So if the passage is being descriptive, your title should also have a certain sense of description. If the passage is ending in an open-ended passage, it's ending in a question, your topic should also have that. I'll give you a simple example. For example, a concept like the Bermuda Triangle. Okay, so we've read a lot about the Bermuda Triangle. Ships get disappear, ships get sunk inside it. So we don't know what's the mystery behind the Bermuda Triangle. So an easiest title to a passage based on that will be the mystery behind Bermuda Triangle. So if you say the mystery behind, then you should be solving the mystery. Okay, but if you're simply introducing the Bermuda Triangle, then you can say, what exactly is the Bermuda Triangle? What is the mystery behind Bermuda Triangle? Why is Bermuda Triangle mysterious? Scientists solve the mystery behind the Bermuda Triangle. Every sentence, every title gives me an information. What exactly am I going to expect in the passage? Based on that, I will decide, is it going to tell me about Bermuda Triangle? Is it going to tell me about the mystery? Is it going to help me solve the mystery? Is it just going to be another article on Bermuda? Etc., etc. So a title should have all these 5 qualities, and that makes a perfect title, and that's going to help you score full marks on a question based on how to choose a title. Okay, clear till now? Yes, I hope we are not going fast. I hope everybody is with me on the same page. I hope you are understanding things till now. If there are any doubts, I'm again telling you, please put them in the chat box, or else I move forward. Okay, so I'll give you some passages where you have to give me a title. Before that, let me tell you how exactly you can follow a certain smart strategy to get your answer correct when it is about the title. First is, titles are not conclusions. This is something I've been repeatedly telling all my students. Don't try and conclude your statements. Don't try and conclude your purpose by putting those kind of words in the title. Then the title, like you said, should match with the key ideas, the main subject. Don't include the secondary, the tertiary, the unwanted aspects of the passage in the title. That's a completely no thing. And very importantly, the structure. So when you focus on the structure of the passage, you realize, okay, this thing is being talked about in para 1, then it's missing in para 2, it's missing in para 3, it's missing in para 4, but it again reoccurs in the conclusion. So is this the main idea, or there are some other things which the author wants to say by virtue of this thing which was only in first para and the fourth para? Okay, identify the main theme. Find out what is being repeated in the passage throughout. Find out what is he trying to tell you. Is he trying to make you aware of something? Is the author trying to preach something? Is the author trying to influence you? Is the author being informative? Is the author being descriptive? Is the author being laudatory? Is the author simply writing fictional stuff? Is it just a first person narrative? What is he doing? Based on that main idea, you can decide on a title. Okay? Clear? Okay, so I have a couple of questions here. Let me just look at them. Yes, Shubham, the title can have a question mark. Perfect, no problem. Thank you, Chandan. It's clear. Thank you, Dhyanesh and Bhumika. The mysterious Bermuda Triangle. Yes, Sarvesh, that can be a good option. Okay, Ayushi, thank you so much. If my title does not match with the author exam, I will not get any marks. No, Barna, see, it's not about your title. It's not about the author's title. The passage might not even have a title. That's one option. Second option is the passage might have a title, but you'll have 4 different options to choose from. That might be another possibility of the title. So don't worry, your title should not match with the author's title, or should match is not the question in concern. The question is the title which you choose from the multiple choice, is it right to be the title for the given passage? Okay, and this is a very interesting question. You always realize this makes you understand better. This makes you think beyond the aspect given. This makes you more creative. So as a personal suggestion, I would always say whenever you read an editorial, whenever you read an article in the newspaper which does not have a title, please try and give it a title. Please try and think, okay, had this been my test passage, how will I work with it? How will I give it a title? What can be the caption here? That's going to make things very creative on your side. Okay, fine. The title can contain a question mark. The title can contain a full stop. The title can contain an exclamation. The title need not have any punctuation. Everything is possible. Ayushi, the exam is 95% MCQs. Sometimes you might have to write a line or two for the reading comprehension part. Okay, fine, Ayushi? Okay, fine. So I have one example here, 2 examples, fine. This is the inference thing which I think, Ankit, you were asking. I'll take you through the inference later. So I have 2 examples. Before we take a 5-minute short break at around 3 o'clock, I want you to attempt these 2 passages and give me a suitable title. Please read it properly. What is being discussed? This is one example, and the next slide has another example. Please put your answers in the chat box. Give this passage a suitable title. Most welcome, Ayushi. Look at the lines. Look at what is being talked about. It's a lady, I think. I hope you think the same. Read carefully, though it's just 4 lines, but sometimes it becomes really difficult to judge what is being talked about, who is being talked about. So please read carefully. Done? Okay. Balasan Lakshmi, Jana Lakshmi, dark-skinned woman would not be a very good title. Something better than that. The mysterious woman, maybe? Is that possible? Any other options coming? I'm waiting for your answers. The lady with a dark skin. Who is this lady? Question mark. That can be an interesting title. Well, Saqib, can you say old lady? If there is a passage name old lady, I'm sure nobody will read it. Think from that perspective. Can gloves be a title, the Pinky? Is that a good title? You tell me. The Black Beauty, okay, interesting. The Dark Beauty, Lija, very good. Her beautiful appearance, Kushagra. So who is the her? The Brown Lady. Yeah, it's about the Black Beauty. It kind of refers to that book which was based on the horse Black Beauty. Ranjit, skin. You really think skin can be the answer as a title? Guys, you have to work hard, I'm telling you. No passage will have a title like skin, gloves, lips, smile, teeth, black, plum. No, these are just words. I want you to give me a title. So the possible titles can be the dark-skinned lady, like I think who started with that? Jana Lakshmi. I can still take that. The dark-skinned lady, the beauty in the black, or the black beauty. Beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder. That's a phrase which you can use, though it's not coming from the passage, but that's a wonderful title. Beauty matters, not the color. Simple. Then Black Disaster, Muhammad Ali, that's just incorrect. There is nothing strange, Bhumika, so you should not write words like strange. You are not supposed to give me words like skin tone. Beauty matters, not the color! Exclamation, that can be a title. The beauty behind the darkness! Exclamation, that can be a title. The lady in black, the dark-skinned lady, the lady with a beautiful face, the lady with a black skin. These are the possible titles. Otherwise, it's just not possible. Okay? Then you really have to work hard. I know, Mansi, you've also answered. Let me see what are your answers. There's so many answers coming, so maybe I missed it. Emotionally depressed person. Well, this lady was just not emotionally depressed. She was one of the most active ladies in the story. Where looking thing, Dhyanish, what does that mean? No, black and white is wrong. Dark lady in natural color, Ankit. What is this? Dark also, natural also. What are you trying to say then? Appearances are deceptive. Well, it's not about that. I mean, oh my God. The mysterious black lady. Just because just because there is a description which relates to the skin, why do you think it's going to be a mystery? I fail to understand that. It's telling you about a lady's skin color. It's telling you about the kind of dressing she had. It's telling you about her sagging skin, maybe. It's telling you about her white teeth. What is the mystery element coming? Yeah, Naveen, maybe I can take yours. Color doesn't define beauty. Very good title. You have to focus on the fact that she is being represented as beautiful. The color of her skin does not matter. The color of her skin does not make her ugly. Even though she's dark skinned, even though she's black skinned, the white small teeth, which occur when she widens her lip, which is probably a reference to the smile, they are of equal importance. Then there is something about her gloves, the way she wore her gloves. So, in a way, the author is kind of describing the lady with a very neutral tone. He's not like very eager that she's very beautiful. He's not even saying she's very ugly. You have to understand that. That's the reason why I ask you to infer things. There is no undertone of negativity in this description. So your title should also be very neutral. Okay? Beauty of Black Queen. Who is the Black Queen here? Natural beauty, the beautiful mystery, Kushagra. Okay, so you guys really need to take care of the title question. Passage will be short and long, anything. Sumit, there is no specific answer to that. Fine. So please, I've given you some possible options for the title. Those of you who could not attempt right, many of you could not attempt right. You will not be getting marks for the kind of answers you have given. So please work on this aspect. Okay, let's go to the next passage. Read this passage and give it a suitable title. Sarvesh, I think eyes have just not been described. Camilla, black gold. Okay, guys, please start practicing because your answers are just not hitting the name. You guys have started going to another platform. You are thinking very deep. You may not need that much. It's just a metaphor, Sonam. You're perfectly correct. It might just be a metaphor because you don't know the story, so it might be a metaphor. Now, for this passage, which you can see on screen, please don't just write coffee. If you write coffee, if you write what is coffee, if you write where is coffee grown, if you write the importance of coffee, I'll give you a 0. So give me a good, interesting title which makes me read the passage. Don't give me simple answers. Eat coffee, drink coffee. No. Make it catchy, make it gripping, make it, the center of attraction throughout the passage. The title should stand for it. The title should be even more expressive and vocal than the whole passage. That's the beauty of language. What did I tell you, Piyush? If you say coffee, I'm going to give you a 0 for this. Coffee, story of coffee, history of coffee. These are like the second best options. Coffee craze, okay, Khushi, I can take that. The coffee culture, very good, Sonam, I can take that. Energy booster for the day, okay. So when I read a title like coffee, the energy booster for the day, you know what I think? It's just going to be how coffee acts as an energy booster for the day. But is that what the story is telling you? Is that what the passage is telling you? How coffee acts as an energy booster, the amount of caffeine one should drink, or why does it boost energies? It doesn't tell me about all that, right? The first 3 lines are telling me why is it a very in-demand hot beverage. Okay, then it tells you about who exactly discovered coffee in the first place, which just goes out of trivia because not many people know about it. Journey of coffee, coffee culture, coffee a passion. Very good answers. Discovery of the brown drink, okay. The beauty of a cup of coffee, the story of coffee's life. Coffee is not a human being, so we don't usually say life with coffee. It's not evaluation, Sonam. We are not evaluating the coffee culture. Simply saying the coffee culture is enough. Or you can say coffee, a culture. Coffee, the legend behind it. Coffee, a passionate drink. Coffee culture, the rage of the hour, the need of the day. Coffee, the story behind it. Something like this, okay? So, you can, have a colon, a semicolon, something like that. Mansi, I haven't, okay, Mansi has written mystery behind coffee. It's not a mystery. It's just a story. It's just how coffee was discovered. There's nothing mysterious about it. It's not like an unsolved mystery that I don't know how exactly coffee was discovered. Everything is pretty known to us. So please avoid using the word mystery. The coffee story, the coffee culture, coffee, just not a drink, coffee, the culture today, coffee, an art, a culture, and a science. Coffee, the story behind it. Kaldi, did you know who he is? The unknown facts about coffee's discovery. These are some good options. These are some good titles. So please remember, the title should make me read the passage. The title should not take me away from the passage. Got it? Again, beverages are part of life. I'm not talking about any other beverage here. I'm not even talking about tea. I'm not even talking about cold drinks. So why am I using a generalized word beverage? If you say beverage, then I would expect something more in this passage, but this passage has only coffee in discussion. Okay. Uh, Nutrition source, Saqib, really, does it talk about how nutritious it is? Got it? So I'm telling you what all is coffee is a leaving of standard. Ankit, I didn't get your answer. Please explain how we get coffee. Ayushi, see, the source of coffee is much better than simply saying how we get coffee. Incredible journey of coffee. Okay, I can take that, Barna. Fine. So you really have to evolve with your usage of words. You have to see what is the best option amongst these three, four options which are coming to your mind. And also remember, it should capture the essence of the passage. The essence of the passage is coffee is not just a drink, but it's a culture. And the way it was discovered, it was an accidental discovery. Okay, it was not like I was doing some experiment and suddenly I discovered coffee. It didn't happen like that. He just noticed that when he had taken his goats for grazing, they kind of had some berries. After eating some certain berries from a particular tree, they couldn't drink, they couldn't sleep that night. That probably brought a lot of energy, and hence it was realized that uh, this discovery, which was an accidental discovery, was about those beans which bring in a lot of energy. So you can say coffee an energetic drink, a good source of energy, colon coffee, or coffee a good source of energy. Fine. The journey of coffee, that also I am accepting. Who was Kaldi, the man behind coffee? Question mark, exclamation. So make it so interesting that people are like, oh, okay, this is going to tell me something really interesting. Let me read it. That's the feeling you should get when I read a passage, when I read a title. Okay. Accidental discovery, Lakshmi, it's not accidental discovery. What? Coffee and accidental discovery. At least the word coffee should come in your title then. Okay, fine. So what I'll do is I'll take a small break. We'll take a 5 to 6 minute break. I'll come back and then I'll move to the next part of the question, which is inference and conclusion based questions. All of you, please stay connected with me. I'll see you in 5 6 minutes. Thank you so much. All of you students, after a very short break, we are discussing the paper business correspondence and reporting section 2. Today the topic in discussion is reading comprehension, and we're doing the second part of reading comprehension. The whole topic is divided into 3 parts. First is already done. Today is the second day and another day to go. Okay, so nice to have you all back. Thank you, Kushagra, for that answer. Okay, Sri Gauri, interesting answer. Is coffee an accidental discovery? Energizing drink by Kaldi. Now you guys are getting it. So this is the actual way you should give me a title. Very good, guys. Now your answers have really started improving. The beautiful discovery, Kushagra, okay. Coffee, a cultural drink, good, Mansi. The legacy of Kaldi, okay. An energizing drink, comma, coffee. A friend of night workers. No, not exactly night workers, but something more, I think, if you can include besides just saying night workers. Okay. Fine. Okay, so can I assume that the title part is clear? You have understood how to give me a suitable title? Yeah? Can you all tell me yes? Because see, the practice is just unlimited. I can give you 5 more passages, but there are a lot of practice passages in the website, so please check that. I have a constraint of time, I have a constraint of space, hence I could just give you 2 passages, but yes, of course, if time permits, we'll also take up something from the study material. We can also take up something from the MTPs and the RTPs, of course. So if you have time and if you quickly finish this, we will spend more time on practice questions. But right now, I assume, have you got the gist of it, how exactly titles have to be given? Right? Okay. So we'll move on to the next slide. The inference versus the conclusion slide. Now, what happens is when I talk about inference and conclusion have a very thin line of difference, but the difference is pretty much to be understood. So the term inference, like I'm telling you, it's a dictionary definition. You have to use a lot of background information. You have to use a lot of observation when you have to come to an inference, whereas a conclusion is stated. Okay. Okay, so Pragati, Naveen, Jagriti, Licha, Bhumika, Jyoti, thank you so much. You've understood. I appreciate that. Thank you so much, students. Okay. Okay, yeah. So inference is basically about something where you are using a lot of background information. So it's just not on the face value of a passage, but something more which you have to invest. Then you come to an inference. Conclusion might be just logical. So if 2 plus 2 is 4, 4 plus 2 is 6, 6 plus 2 is 8, I can logically derive it. Fine, that is a conclusion. But the inference is something which can be a little more subjective, whereas conclusion is more objective. The conclusion might be same for everybody, but in some cases, very few though, inference can be different for 2 people. Okay, so you have to understand that it's an assumed fact. It's a fact, but it's an assumed fact. So this is kind of an oxymoron. You understand the word oxymoron? Have you ever heard of this word? Yeah. An oxymoron is the placement of 2 contradictory words together, side by side. So when I say it's an assumed fact, if it's a fact, I can't assume it. And if it's assumed, which means I'm taking it to be true, but it's not true, this is an inference. And this exactly is what an oxymoron means. It's basically like, cold fire, open secret, hot ice. These are oxymorons, right? Okay, so an inference is basically giving you some information about what is going to happen after the passage has ended, after the report has ended, after the documentary has ended. So there are chances of the inference being inaccurate also. There are chances that you don't have any logic in coming to that inference, Maybe you have the logic, but your friend doesn't have the logic. So inference is a very open-ended word. Since you have to go much beyond what the author is saying and then come to an inference, hence it is a very open-ended subject. Hence we call it subjective. We don't call it an objective phenomena. A conclusion is more objective. Okay? Okay, Mayur and Bhumika, I've told you. Let's, okay, fine. So you don't need to give me the options now. Lakshmi, I've had enough of discussions on the coffee passage. Let's move on. Okay. And Lakshmi, I think your answers are coming like repeatedly. 5 times I've got the same answer. Yeah, Khushi, exactly. Bittersweet is a very good example of oxymoron. Glad that you guys know it. Okay, so have you understood now? There's no problem. So this is how I can differentiate between a conclusion and an inference. And of course, when I give you a passage, when I give you an example, you will understand it much better. Okay, so straight away come to the example. The main idea behind such questions is practice a lot. This is something I'm repeating maybe, but unless you sit and practice passages, you will not understand how exactly an RC is to be attempted. If you just go theoretically, listen to my lectures, listen to other faculties' lectures, and you think, okay, I've done like 6 examples in the class today, that is not sufficient. These lectures, plus the study material, plus the MTB, RTBs, plus a regular, consistent, everyday reading of variety of subjects, that's something which is going to make you a good reader, a person who can understand, evaluate, and critically analyze things. And what are those things that you will come across when you join office, when you are at your workplace, when you are in your own firm, when you're practicing? So please don't limit your knowledge to only attempting a business correspondence paper. That is just one step of it. There are many more things which you have to work on. Okay? Kusum, just give me a minute, I'll see. Tongue favorite. Coffee is not tongue favorite. Kusum, no, sorry, those are not correct titles. Ice hot, yes, correct. Oxymoron, good example, Priyanka. Okay, so now I have the passage in front of me. Please read the passage and can you give me a conclusion? These are 2 passages which I want you to read. Can you give me a conclusion? I'm not asking you for an inference because inference generally what happens is we have options. So at this point of time, it gets very difficult because everybody will have like several inferences and it won't be possible for me to take up every student's inference and then tell you what is right and what is wrong. So please give me the conclusion of this passage which is on your screen. I hope all of you can read the passage. The nominal GDP growth rate is the base of all fiscal calculations. Government spending depends on revenues earned. Okay, good, Sonam. That's very good. So now, where do you belong to? Nepal? What about the others? I'm waiting for your answers. Hurry up, please. Read fast, understand fast, value the time. Exams, all your exams in your life will be time bound. So you have to be very particular about how much time you're spending in reading these passages. Okay, Bhutan, fine. Thank you. GDP as a fiscal calculation method. Okay. GDP growth rate. Okay, good. Growth of GDP. Fine, Jyoti. So good answers coming. This is the conclusion. Remember, I'm not asking you the theme. I'm asking you the conclusion. What do you conclude after reading this passage? Please, all of you understand there is a difference between theme and conclusion. If you say the conclusion is growth of GDP, if you say the conclusion is GDP growth rate, if you say the conclusion is GDP as a fiscal calculation, that maybe yes, I can take. But a conclusion is much more decisive. There should be a decision-making element in the conclusion. There is a difference between what is the theme. It's about the GDP growth rate. It's about how GDP works. That can be the theme. But what is coming out of the passage? GDP is important for the nation's growth. Okay, the government can make GDP growth and revenue planning. No, Dhyanesh, that's not the conclusion. The base of growth is about nominal GDPs. GDP helps in developing the country. Okay, correct. GDP is the key feature of an economy. Very good, Priyanka. GDP decides the growth of a country. Good, Ankit. Yes, economic activities depend on the GDP growth rate. Very good, Priyanka. GDP is the backbone of a country. Okay. The logic behind GDP, that again is the topic. It's not a conclusion. What is the logic? So you have to tell me the logic if you're saying it is about logic. Calculation is sharp fall. No, the Pinky, please read properly, understand the passage. GDP decides the country's growth. Yes, GDP is an important factor for what? Sarvesh, it's a little incomplete. For what? The pillar of an economy. Okay, Mohammed. Okay, Archana, it's not just government spending is based on our income. I think you definitely have to talk about the GDP as part of your conclusion. Okay, so what comes out of here is the passage is about the GDP growth rate. It tells you how exactly spendings are calculated based on the GDP. It tells you why GDP plays an important role in the development of an economy. So a good conclusion can be, Mansi, I think I read yours. Don't worry. You always say that I've answered. I know you've answered. Just that there are so many answers coming, so I must have missed them. But well, honestly, I don't see your answer actually now. So please, if you can answer again. So basically, the conclusion is GDP decides the country's growth. GDP is an important factor for judging the country's development, the economic development of a country. That is the conclusion. Okay. Now, however, which way you reword it, it's okay. That I don't care. But finally, the conclusion is that these are things which you have to understand, because when you read a passage, there might not be many possible conclusions, but there might be many possible inferences. Okay. Fine. So I'll take you to the next passage now. This is a very interesting passage. I think you all will love to read it. It might be one of your favorites because you all watch or you all read Harry Potter. GDP as a means of fiscal calculation. Fine. That's okay, Vansi. GDP helps in taking developmental decisions. GDP is a factor which helps in deciding the development of a country. That's what I can say, Lija. Okay, Bhumika, correct. Yes, Khojema. I think I'm sorry if I'm not getting your name correct. Khojema, yeah. Priyanka, correct. Sarvesh, okay. Okay, quickly move on to the next passage, please. Again, here, don't tell me the conclusion. Tell me what is the passage about. in simple words. Okay, because this is not a passage which has a conclusion like that. But what do you think you can understand out of the passage? Just tell me that much. Okay, you can stop attempting the GTV passage now. Please move on, students. Okay, Abhi, I've got your answer. Kusum, okay, got it. Read the passage carefully. It's quite interesting. It's much different from your normal reading comprehension. So I think you would enjoy reading it. Yeah, Abdul, I know you last time also told me your name is coming as Kojama. Why don't you just change the name? I don't think so. It should be a big problem. Just log in again. Maybe you're using some other login or something, but done. Have you all read it? This is not like a deep passage, so you should not be taking a lot of time here. This is like a fun passage, so you should read it very quickly. Time is very important. I'm repeating. You have to attempt the paper within certain time limits, and every question requires some specific time guidelines. So if you're doing a question which is like pressy writing, which is making minutes of a meeting, which is making a report, then you should spend more time. Only if you want to read, you should not be spending more than like 40 seconds in reading this passage. Dark magic. Nicknames to our friends. Oh, okay. Where did you get that from, Ankit? Okay, Abdul, it takes some time. Marauder's map is a magical map that gets activated by a secret phrase. Sorry. Okay. Okay, now. Muhammad Ali. You said it's about dark magic, but I think that line clearly says it never denoted dark magic. So please see. Harry Potter a Marauder's map? No, Abhi, Harry Potter is not a map. If you put a colon between two words, if you put a hyphen between two words, then it should be related. So Harry Potter is the story in which the map is one of the aspects. Okay, it's a passage about a magical map. That is fine. Harry Potter, the great warrior, Mayur. Are you getting this out of this passage? Tell me what you're getting out of this passage. A map hidden in a phrase. Okay. Advanced magical ability and dark magic. Again, Mansi, where is the dark magic? Instead of magical ability, can't you simply say magic? Why do you need to use extra words? He was not a warrior, Harry Potter, please. It's just a fictional story about a student, about a boy who goes and learns magic at a school named Hogwarts. But it's not about a warrior as such. He's not fighting battles. Okay, Piyush, fine. Abdul Qadir, it doesn't talk about Voldemort, doesn't talk about these names. Please, you are not supposed to include extra information in any given passage unless it is asking you to give an inference. If the passage talks about some names, you can mention the names, otherwise the names need not be mentioned at all. So basically, the passage is about the importance of the map in the story of Harry Potter and how the makers, in case of 3 of the 4 makers, how you should understand the magical phrase which actually activates the map and how the map appears. And of course, it doesn't talk about dark magic, but it does talk about school rule breakings. Okay, that's it. It's a very simple thing. Sangeeta, this is a story of Harry Potter. Maybe you're not aware of it. This is a story about a boy who visits a school named Hogwarts. It's there in the third line, the name of the school, and they learn magic. So it's a story about Harry Potter and 3 or 4 of his friends. And the map, which is quite magical, is known as the Marauder's map. Okay? Okay. Now, this is a long example, so I'm not going to ask you to read it right now. I'll take you to the next page quickly. Okay, so I have to give you questions also. Fine. Let me do something. Okay, this is clear, right? Fine. Now, all of you, please remember some things before I actually move on, because that's a longer passage. So I just take 2 minutes in explaining something. Now, yeah, the Marauder's map, which gets activated by that phrase. Yeah, correct, Licha. So when you have a passage like this, even if you don't have any idea about who is Harry Potter, what is dark magic, what is a map, etc., because you're not supposed to know about everything. One, I keep telling you, that's the reason why I keep telling you, please read as much as possible. The more you're read, the more familiar the content seems to be. Second thing is, whenever you get a passage which you think you have no clue about, you've never seen it, you've never heard it, you haven't even, you haven't in your faintest dreams read about what is all this, then just concentrate on some words which you can decide as the keywords. For example, the first word, Marauder's map, I'll just annotate so that, like Sangeeta in this class, she said she hasn't heard about this. So how do you answer a question? Ankit, this is a passage which does not have conclusions. This is not a passage which I gave for conclusions. Not every passage can have a conclusion. This is just part of a story. So this is one line. This is one phrase which you need to remember. Lasting testimony, you need to remember. This is the name of the school. The map was created on a blank piece of parchment paper. It gets activated by the phrase, then the whole phrase is given. This is an important phrase. Never denoted dark magic, so it's not related to dark magic, but it is about school rule breaking. So this is something about the magic also relates to using their own nicknames on the map. These are a couple of 3-4 things which actually will help you answer questions, even if you have not read the story behind it. Got it? So what I'm telling you is, there might be times where you have a passage where you have not read about it, you haven't heard about those themes, but it's okay. You don't have to know everything. If at all you get a passage like this, you can simply understand the most important words, identify the most important phrases, and then maybe you can start answering the questions. Okay, clear? Fine. Now I'm taking you to a longer passage, which is a little tough, and I'm going to ask you questions based on that, which will be kind of the last example for the day. So please carefully do it. Then towards the end of the class, we'll have a recap, because we've done types of questions, though we haven't been able to do all types of questions. This would be continued in the next session, which is the last and final session for reading comprehension. And now, when you go back after class, please bother to open your study material and look at the passages, attempt questions, read a newspaper, read an editorial, read the articles, and try and give it a conclusion, try and give it a logical title, work towards those areas. If you start working towards those areas, then you will actually feel that this is a very interesting and a simple paper. You don't even have to worry about it. It's just like everyday reading is a preparation in itself. That's what you should feel. Okay. So finally, I'll take you to the last passage. Okay, is it visible, I hope? Is the passage visible? The font might be a little small. I wanted to fit it into one slide only, because if I have to carry forward to the next slide, then the continuation breaks, and then since I have to change the slides, it's become a little difficult for you to retain the continuation. But if you can't read the whole of it right now, once the PPT is uploaded on the cloud, then maybe you can attempt it gradually, slowly. But as of now, whatever you can read, I would request you to read. I'm going to underline some words which I really want you to pay attention to. They might be part of the questions. I'm doing the underlining part. I request all of you to start reading, please. Are you understanding it? It's not a tough passage, but it's definitely calling for a little thought behind how somebody can be successful, how somebody should be perseverant, how somebody should be full of grit and determination. So the content is not like heavy to read, but it's definitely calling for a lot of thought behind all these aspects. So please read it carefully. Bhumika, generally what happens is these questions which are based on conclusion, you need not be writing 4 to 5 lines. That will not be required. Mostly you'll have it as an MCQ question with 4 or 5 options. So it's easier then. Just in case we ask you to write, then the answer will not be more than 2 lines. Okay, so it'll be like short answers. Even if it's a question asking you to give me the conclusion of the passage, you are not supposed to write 5 lines. Just 2 lines is more than enough. Okay, so we've discussed that this doesn't have much conclusion. The Harry Potter passage doesn't have much conclusions. Yes, Abdul, I think it talks about never give up, try again and again. Do you remember that famous poem called Try, Try, Try Again Till You Succeed? Isn't it? There is a counter poem in Hindi by Mr. Harivansh Rai Bachchan, Koshish Karne Walon Ki Haar Nahi Hoti. It's on the similar lines. So you should keep trying till you succeed. And trying is just a way of telling that you are very close to success. Trying and failing is always an evidence that you are doing your best. So please look at those words which I have underlined. See if you know the meanings. If you don't know the meanings, of course I can tell you, but if I tell you, that becomes kind of spoon feeding. So I want all of you to search for the meanings and try and understand the words yourself. Optimism is easy, being positive minded. The opposite is pessimism, pessimistic. Yeah, right, Mayur. You've heard the poem Jyoti, okay. Okay. The ultimate goal to success is grit. Okay, very good, Sonam. Yes, keep practicing. Very good, Alafia. Failures are the door to success. That's a beautiful line. That's so very nice of you that you all realize how it is. So even for your exams, even for your CA exams, any attempt which you do not make through, which is a failed attempt, it's perfect, because that's just bringing you one step closer to your success. You might not be able to climb the ladder with every step. Sometimes you need to take a break. Sometimes you're very tired. So standing on a particular step with a break or having a failed attempt does not mean you cannot complete the journey. That's never a reason. It's just that you need to be even more hardworking. You need to have even more mental strength, physical strength. You need to be even more concentrating, and you need to study in a certain way. That's the only difference when you are close to success and when you are away from success. But you will definitely be successful. Like the passage says, you should have a lot of positivity involved, a lot of enthusiasm, and a lot of optimism. Very good, Sangeeta. Grit can make you successful. So what actually matters is how perseverant you are. Perseverant is nothing but the idea or the fact of continuously doing something no matter how many times you fail. You stick to your goal. Okay, I failed once, I failed twice, I failed thrice, but I'm never going to give up. So a never going to give up attitude is what determines your grit. Now, this is a passage which can have beautiful titles, which can have inspiring titles, which can have encouraging titles. This is a passage which can always have many different conclusions. Somebody can talk about mindfulness, somebody can talk about optimism, somebody can talk about failures being important, somebody can talk about perseverance and grit being important. So this is a very easy passage, and this is a very attemptable passage. So if you have a question on this passage, please do attempt it. Okay, so I'll take you to the questions now. I'm so happy that all of you have been able to understand it. You know, it's a long passage. So the first impression is, oh my God, who's going to read such a long passage? That idea, that thought should never come in your mind. Okay, the synonym for distressing in para 3. Let's go to para 3. What is the synonym for the word distressing in para 3? Para 3 begins with falling down or failing. Distressing. What is the synonym you can find for the word distressing? Any answers coming? The answer is agonizing. Okay, anything which causes distress can also cause agony, trouble, disturbance. That is agonizing. So the answer for synonym for distressing is in para 3. Antonym for heedlessness. Heedlessness in para 4. Antonym is the opposite. So what can be the opposite for the word heedlessness? The word has been used in para 4. The fourth paragraph starts with the line, grit can be learned to help you become more successful. Not to pay heed is not to pay attention. He did it out of heedlessness, which means he did not realize it. He did not think about it. Sometimes our elders, your parents would scold at you, please pay heed, please pay attention. The teacher in class might say, please pay heed to what is being discussed, which means please pay attention, please use your mind. So what can be the antonym? Antonym means opposites. What can be the antonym for the word heedlessness as used in the fourth paragraph? The answer is mindfulness. Okay, the answer is mindfulness. So Bhumika, Priyanka got it correct. Naveen and Hera got it correct. Mansi got it correct. Okay. Careless is not the answer, Barna. I don't think so. Careless is mentioned in the fourth paragraph. You have to find a word from the paragraph which is given in the question. So the question says antonym for heedlessness in para 4. One word which has been used in para 4, which is the antonym for heedlessness. Okay, let's come to the third question. Dash means to continue, as used in para 2? A word which means to continue, and it's used in para 2. Can you answer, please? Para 2 begins with, if your answer is yes, then you are not a robo. Kusum, self-sabotaging is self-accusing. That's not my heedlessness. Self-sabotaging is you are actually criticizing yourself. Good, yeah. Sarvesh, Priyanka, Jyoti, correct. Omvati, correct. Jaspreet, correct. Chandan, correct. Okay, what word means continue as used in para 2? It might not be a direct synonym, but something related to the word continue. It goes on and on, the continuation of the disease, the continuation of the virus, the continuation of the pandemic. It's enriching, it's increasing, it's thriving. Now, can you find a word in para 2? You have to give me a word, not a phrase, first of all. So, Alafia, it's not grit. Bhumika, it's not correct. Going our way is a phrase. Priyanka, persevere is not continue. I have only one person who's got the answer correct. Is Kusum Rawat. Very good, Kusum. It's flourishing. Flourishing is always going on and on. So it's increasing in number and it's enriching and thriving. That is the word for continue. Now, keep going is correct. But that's the problem. The problem here is it's not a word, it's a phrase. And my question was find a word. Okay. So here you realize how difficult it becomes to find an answer between two close calls. Right now, I have not even given you options. But if there are options, then you might fall into deeper trouble. Okay. Thomas Edison is a good example of dash. Thomas Edison is an example of determination, bravery, grit, or intelligence. What does he stand for? He's an epitome of dash, bravery, grit, intelligence, or determination. You can see the passage. It's there in the third paragraph. Thomas Edison, who invented the light bulb. So we are sitting in deep light, we're sitting in bright light because of Mr. Edison. He made a wonderful discovery and he gave us the bulb. So what does he stand for? Bravery, determination, grit, or intelligence? The answer, of course, is grit. It's there in the fourth line in the third paragraph. Thomas Edison is a model for grit for trying 1,000 plus times to invent the light bulb. Good. Very good answer. All of you have got it correct. Licha, Farzan, Kshitij, Bhumika, Piyush, Alafia, Naveen, Omvati, Abdul, Hera, Jaspreet, Chandan. Okay, good. Well done, guys. Very well done. Correct answer. And let's come to the last question. Give the passage a suitable title. This is like a tricky question and you have to be very smart in answering it correctly. Give the passage a suitable title. I can take you to the passage. If you want to use any words from the passage, you are free to do that. But let it be a good title. Mantras for success. Learn to persevere to be successful. Grit makes you successful. 4 aspects towards success. What can make you successful? Falling down only makes you stronger. Exclamation. Failing, colon, a step ahead towards success. Falling is not failing. Got it? Are you getting my answers? So this is how I'm trying to just, play around with words and tell you what are the different possible answers. Bifaceted human life. Oh God, that's like very heavy, Priyanka. Grit, a way to success. Failure is a key to success. Very good. Correct answers till now. Anything else? Never giving up is an attitude. Where there is a will, there is a way. Very good, Sarvesh. Failures can lead to success. Don't say failures lead to success. Failures can lead to success. The role of grit in your success journey. Farzan, that would be better, in your success journey. Failure is the first step towards success. Very good, Bhumika and Archana. Hard work makes you successful. Okay. Success of bulb. I'm sorry, Ankit, that's not a good title. You will not get a good score for that. It's not about the bulb invention. It's about success in life. It's about how perseverant and successful you are in life. And for that success, what are the qualities you have to invest? Okay? Fine. So thank you so much for that effort of answering this question based on title. I've already discussed a few titles. Mindfulness, success, hard work, learn from your failures. Very good. Abhi, only determination cannot be a title. Mindfulness is an important key towards success. Okay. Grit is the key to success. Fine, Jyoti, Ankit. Okay. Good. So I've pointed out those who couldn't answer correctly, but that's okay. It's a simple learning. For those who have answered correctly, I've noted down, I've named you also. So there can be many possible conclusions. My only request is make the conclusion make the title sound interesting enough for any person to be forced to read it. I should not want to skip the passage because I see, oh my God, such a boring title. Oh, what is this misleading title? That attitude makes me pass away the passage. That should not happen. Okay. So good, guys. I think you all have understood a lot about concluding. You've understood about inferences. You've understood about giving a suitable title. We've tried a few questions on finding the antonyms and synonyms from the passage. So very good. I'm really happy with the way you've attempted all the questions I've put you to. Let's have a quick recap. So when you have to judge or when you have to give me an answer about the main theme or the subject, you have to read the lines very carefully, especially the first and the last lines. When you are attempting a passage, don't straight away come to the questions. Read the passage completely, then come to the questions. Then maybe you can come back to the passage to find the answers. Sometimes the answers might not be evident. Like in this case, the Thomas Edison question, it was straight away written, he's a model of grit. It might not be coming that straight away. So you have to read the passage with full understanding to actually be able to answer the question correctly. The answers might be hidden somewhere. It's just like a treasure hunt. You just have to keep looking at every word and every sentence and understand them. Then please remember, all the answers to questions are dependent only in the framework of the given passage. You are not supposed to add any extra information. If you know a lot about Harry Potter, if you know a lot about grit and success, if you know a lot about globalization, if you know a lot about the capitalist economy, you are not supposed to use any extra outside information to answer your questions. The questions are asking you to answer only that option which is coming out from the passage. So limit yourself to the information given in the passage. And last of all, please remember, these passages have a context. There is a reason why we are giving you a passage. What happens before that, what happens after that does not matter. What matters is the story in the passage. For example, the Rosa Parks one. For example, the passage on scorpions. What happens before that, what happens after that is not going to change your answers. So the questions which we will ask will also cater to only the given content, even if it's 3 lines, even if it's 300 lines. Okay. So thank you so much, and it was a pleasure meeting you. I really enjoyed reading your answers. I really enjoyed the way you all are answering with so much alacrity. It's good to have a proactive audience in class. So now I'll end the session today. Thank you so much for being with me in this session. we move on to the third session, the third and the final session of reading comprehension, which will be on Saturday, same time, 2 o'clock. So I request all of you to join on time. And when you finish the session, please start reading your study material. If there are any doubts, please feel free to discuss them in class. We can take them up in class once we are done with the whole concept of reading comprehension. And I end my class by saying, please read, please read, please read. It opens up your mind, and minds are like parachute. They function only when they are open. So at that note, I'll take your leave. Thank you so much. Have a great day. See you again with the final session of reading comprehension. Thank you.